Hi, my name is Cheryl. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm autistic and non-binary. I'm so excited that you're here. I have decided to create this space on YouTube after 5 years of being on Instagram, and we all know what's happening over there. Today's topic, we are going to talk about self advocacy and things you might not even know you're entitled to ask for. Okay. So, hi, hands up if you don't realize that certain things are an option until someone tells you, why didn't you just say no? Why didn't you just ask for help? Why didn't you just do this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing? I'm here to tell you that the reason you didn't ask for those things is because you were never taught how, not because you're stupid or silly or incompetent. So, self advocacy is great and wonderful when you know what to ask for. When you're out there being like, I do better with written communication, I do better with verbal communication. I don't always look at the camera. I don't always make eye contact because I can concentrate better, be more like myself, have better firing connections, and actually listen and be more present when I'm able to not put all of my effort into make eye contact so that people know you're serious, right? So self advocacy starts with self awareness. It starts with getting curious and asking why you do things. I find that there's one of three responses when someone asks me why I'm doing something. One is unintentional defensiveness. So I'm not defending myself or being defensive because I did anything wrong or incorrect. I'm being defensive because the way they phrase the question follows a pattern where I've been bullied or misunderstood or made to feel like a terrible person for the last time I heard that phrase. So, for example, in a context of me being a coach and a mentor, when I'm coaching someone in pocket coaching, we're sending back voice notes, we're sending back texts, and I'll say something and they'll ask a personal question. It doesn't occur to me not to answer the question because, in the context of our container, in the context of the space we're doing the work, so on the app, every question they ask me, I assume is for a good reason. I assume that you need more context. I assume that you need more information to make sense of the information that I just gave you. Whatever it is, I just think the best of people. And it's not until afterward, when I'm slightly dysregulated by someone asking a whole bunch of questions of me, that I feel like, oh, maybe it wasn't appropriate for me to answer so, like, personally. Maybe they didn't actually need all of that information. Maybe, well, whatever the reason is. So then that discomfort reveals to me a boundary I didn't know I had that has been crossed. So I get to advocate for myself. And instead of making either one of us wrong for that, I put it in my experience bank, right? Because as autistic people, when we don't have context for something, something's never happened before, we don't just naturally know what to do. Our brain doesn't just search for the last exact time that it's happened and then feed us the information instantaneously. We have to physically do that to some degree, which is partially why you're exhausted all the time. Because every time you get faced with a new piece of information, your version of what my brain does to like refile all of the information and adjust all of your expectations based on that new piece can be really dysregulating in specific contexts, like relationships, like employment, like coaching, like the grocery store. So, same problem, different context. You go to the grocery store. Every time you go, you have to psych yourself up because let's face it, it's a sensory social nightmare for most of us. So you psych yourself up to go. You've got everything you need. You've got your noise canceling headphones or earplugs. You've got your budget. You've got your list. And you go into the store And they've completely rearranged the entire thing and you don't know where anything is. So you are now faced with a decision. You can decide to advocate for yourself and go and find someone, which is its whole own thing. You can go and find someone and be like, hi, I noticed that the store has recently been rearranged and I don't know where any of my usual products are. You could choose to disclose that you are autistic or not, and just trust and hopefully be correct that the employee that you're talking to will be helpful and support you. That's option one. That also feels like disgusting because then you have to out yourself as autistic to a complete stranger who might reject you and judge you. You feel slightly childish because of internalized ableism, where you think it's wrong to be affected by the things that affect you. And then you also run the risk of them not being able to find it either and becoming even more stressed out. Option number two, you leave. Right? You go to a different store or you leave or whatever. Option number three, you can order online groceries and they'll just find everything for you and bring it right to your house. And option number four is you can get brave, practice self-regulation tools, and do your best. You can turn it into a game, into an adventure, because you're smart, you are capable, you know how to read store signs, all of these different things. You could even go to customer service and ask for a map because I guarantee they have one. I used to work in a grocery store. I know that when we completely rearrange the store, we'll get pieces of paper, or these days it's probably on an iPad, of how it's supposed to look so that every single store looks exactly the same. And now you're exhausted and not listening because that sounds like a lot, right? Yeah. So I just want to give you permission to allow yourself to be tired. Instead of being like, oh, I shouldn't get tired. Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you be tired when they changed every single thing you were expecting and everything's different and now you have to do so much extra work? Why shouldn't you be tired? So self advocacy doesn't work without self acceptance. And self acceptance doesn't work without compassion. It just becomes defeatism, becomes nihilism. It becomes, well, I'm not going to bother cleaning my house because I'm terrible at keeping my house clean. Instead of, I got a RoboVac 1 year. Then I got a Rolly dishwasher that I could hook to my faucet because we don't have room for a built-in. So I got that the next year. Sometimes when I'm just having a really hard time, I will hire a cleaner for $100 because it's cheaper than ordering takeout. Every single time I don't have the spoons to do my dishes. In the summer during heat waves, we get compostable plates because it gets so hot where I live. It's not usual for people to have air conditioning in their homes because winter gets really cold. So part of self-advocacy and asking for accommodations is first giving them to yourself in your home life, in your day-to-day living. And once you get comfortable with accommodating your own needs, it becomes easier to ask other people for what you need. So I just recently learned that the reason I failed horrifically at job interviews before I became an entrepreneur is because I fail to recognize, understand, and interact with unspoken social agreements. I never sent a thank you card in my fucking life for a job interview. Why would I say thank you to you for interviewing me for the job you need to fill? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't show whether or not I'm good at the job. I'm not here to make friends, although I usually do. I just would never do that. When they would be like, "Do you have any questions to ask about the company?" It's like, "Well, no, I don't actually, because I did a lot of research before I even applied to the job. I don't apply to companies I don't want to work at, that don't align with my values, and I don't see how it's relevant for me to tell you all of that for an entry level position. So I would not pass the interview. I was completely competent. I could do all of the things, but I didn't know what was expected of me in a social situation. And now that LinkedIn exists and people are always posting all these tips on how to ace an interview, I'm like, that is completely inaccessible to me. So I comment and I'm like, well, what about the autistic people who don't know all of these made up rules? We're still really, really good at what we do. We deserve a chance. We're not rude. We're just different. Rudeness is less about the action and more about the intent and the impact, right? So, like, how do you advocate for yourself outside of your home if you can't even give yourself accommodations? So, I would love to know what accommodations you have given to yourself at home that you wish you would have done sooner, which ones you are holding off of because you feel kind of weird about them. And if you would like me to do a video around navigating that emotion and how I literally walk myself through it, please put some comments below about like situations that you've helped yourself with. So, like for me, I've helped myself with hygiene and keeping my house organized over time by slowly reducing the amount of stuff that I have. Because if I don't have a ton of stuff to clean up, then it will never take me a really long time and I can feel a lot better about myself. If I could figure out a way for things to be organized in a way that I can both see them and also kind of ignore them, that's wonderful. For example, turning my bookshelves into rainbow gradients, I now see one rainbow instead of 25 books. So I'm not trying to like read all of the books or notice if one is missing or something. And that was distracting my brain. Too much patterns in my bedroom was making it really hard for me to sleep. And too much pattern in my clothing was making it really like overstimulating when I'd go places and stuff because my brain has a harder time filtering out the extra information. So now I've started transitioning to a wardrobe that's based on comfort, versatility, and solid color. So like this is from Genski Apparel. They're a Canadian brand that makes size inclusive and gender inclusive clothing. And their owner is neurodivergent. And so none of their fabric feels gross. I mean, unless you have completely different preferences than me, and that's okay. But I have started accommodating my own needs in my life, and it's made it a lot easier to ask for what I need outside of the home. Okay. So I would love to invite you to practice giving yourself what you need this week. And then when you do, I would love for you to come back here and share a win, whatever it is, so I can celebrate you. Because every time we do a hard thing and then we celebrate it, we create a new neural pathway in our brain where hard things can also be good, right? That is really important brain science that we can touch on another time. Bye for now.